Todd Sheets. We've got Elaine Parker coming up. This segment brought to you by National Right to Work. Now, it's very simple. You want to join a union? I'm all in favor of it. I'm a union guy. I want it to be voluntary, hold the union bosses accountable. Now, in Virginia, right now, right to work has been a linchpin of jobs, job creation, new businesses moving in, wages going up. And of course, the Democrats there with a new majority in Spanberger, they want to get rid of it. Now, no worker should ever be forced to pay money to a union boss just to get a job. It is as simple as that, and have money confiscated out of your check. That's why so many hardworking Virginians overwhelmingly support right to work and agree that making you join a union under force is simply wrong. And that's what the Democrats, once again, are trying to do, because they are beholden to the union bosses and their money. It is very simple. It is simple as that. Now, the good news is that Abigail Spanberger has not come out and said she's 100% behind this. We need to get this bill killed in the Senate, because you've got the liberals there, the left-wingers. They don't care about anything. They don't care about your jobs. They just want money and power. And they're going to push getting rid of right to work in Virginia. And the only person, there's only a couple senators who can stop it. Only Abigail Spanberger can stop it. But she's going to be under intense pressure by the far left wing to get rid of right to work in Virginia, which is going to cost Virginia countless jobs and take money out of people's checks they don't want. So here's the deal. You got to get involved, right? Call Abigail Spanberger today, call her office, and urge her to pledge to protect Virginia's right to work law, 804-223-0770, 804-223-000770. You got to get involved to stop this, because, look, the communists are at the gate in Virginia, and they're going to push this, and they're going to push Abigail Spanberger, Governor-elect Spanberger, to sign it. And so you got to get rid of it ASAP. This message was paid for by the National Right to Work Committee, and I'm a big believer in what they're attempting to do. We need to keep right to work in Virginia. Speaking of jobs, joining us now with Todd Sheets, Elaine Parker, Job Creators Network Vice President, Senior Vice President Communications, and President of Job Creators Network Foundation. Elaine, thanks for being with us today.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Todd. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Elaine. We were talking about jobs a little bit earlier, and we're going to have another robust, I think, jobs opportunity coming in as small businesses are starting to hire now. We're going to get all the benefits of the big, beautiful bill pop in. What do you see on the horizon for job creation for Americans in America, Elaine Parker?
Yeah, I agree with what Todd was saying when he was on air previously. And, basically hiring. So when you talk about setting the stage for new hires, that's where we're at. We're kind of at a point where we're at the beginning of the year. The big, beautiful bill passed. The tax cuts been made permanent. Inflation is down. Energy is down. Gas prices are down. We have reduced government payrolls by about 300,000 jobs. That was just a drag on the economy. And small businesses are anticipating their revenues increasing in first quarter. And so that sets the stage for small businesses to expand their businesses, invest in their employees, and make new hires. And that's good for the economy, good for communities, and good for workers.
What is your reaction to that, Todd?
Yeah, look, it makes perfect sense to me. I mean, it feels like this is coming. It's always hard to tell, but it feels like the job growth side of this, with all the other things that are about to fall in place, as you were talking about, is just around the corner here.
So as we look at this economy, Elaine, what is going to be? We've not seen the impact of the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, the one big beautiful bill, whatever you want to call it. We've not really seen the full impact of that. That is coming over the next, 4 or 5 months, as people start to realize the lower taxes they're going to have, right? And a lot of the investments that we thought small business would make are going to take hold. Like, I'll just give you, it's so good owning a small business, me and Ann, because I can give you like real examples, right? I'm just not a pundit. Like the real example of our business is last year we paid X taxes. It was a lot, right? We sold some land for one of our properties, kept the tower, now lease it, whatever. But she budgeted that same amount. And it's a lot of money, right? Now you pay in quarterly, and then you got to pay in more if you're under or over. You make it up April 15th. But I told her, based on the one big, beautiful bill, you're way overestimated what your taxes are. I think you're like 35% too high. So we'll see what happens. But when that happens, like, just throw out an easy number. If you're a small business and you're expected to pay $100,000 in taxes, right? Expected to pay 100, and you paid in 80, right? So now you got to pay another 20 April 15th. That's kind of the way it works. So you got that money budgeted. You got to scroll away. All of a sudden, you do your taxes. You get all these deductions from all the equipment you bought, this and that, and you find out, well, it's not 100, it's 50, but or 60. I already paid 80. So instead of paying another 20, I'm getting a $20,000 refund back, so I can go buy something else or hire somebody. That's the reality that is going to happen between February, the end of February, and May. Tell me I'm wrong.
I think you're absolutely right, John. I think you pegged it. Small businesses are poised to invest in their businesses, as we've been talking about. In addition, we're showing a strong consumer. Over the holidays, spending increased by 4%. I mentioned that gas prices are down. Actually, over 40 states have gas prices under $3 a gallon. And when you contrast that with the high under the Biden administration, which was over $5 a gallon, and for most of his term, prices never went below $3 a gallon. That's a huge impact on consumer spending. We now also have something we didn't have under Biden, and that's wages are growing 40% and inflation. All of those things combined with the policies in place for small businesses, consumers are healthy. They show the most accurate and nonpartisan poll we can have is at the cash register when people are checking out. And when you see that kind of increase blow away expectations on holiday spending, that shows people are spending. Consumer is healthy. Like I said, about 3/4 of small businesses anticipate their revenues increasing in first quarter. So we are anticipating strong numbers. GDP is strong. You mentioned that earlier as well. And they are expecting GDP to continue growing. So, I mean, we're in a good position to really see things take off and have that rocket fuel that we saw during the first Trump term.
All right, let's get your predictions on the midterms, and I'm going to start with Elaine because she's a pretty sober analyst. Normally, I'm a little more optimistic than Elaine is. Not a personal thing, just like this is our kind of thing. You kind of always look at the tougher side. I look at the rosy side. It's kind of my personality. So, Elaine, do we have a shot to hold serve in the midterms? Yes or no? And what percentage would you give it?
Look, I think that we can hold the Senate. I do think the House is going to be a squeaker right to the end. The biggest thing that Republicans need to do is get on board with messaging and talking about these successes and talking about small business and the drivers of this economy, attacking the healthcare problem. Some of the solutions that we've talked about in previous interviews are things that could really help the American people. Republicans do have some good positions and policies. They've got a bill they passed just before the holidays that needs to go over the Senate. And if it passed, it could really help expand choice and competition in healthcare. It's really a messaging battle. And unfortunately, the Democrats sometimes do a lot better on the messaging side in terms of being consistent and staying on the same page together.
Well, no doubt about it. But I agree with you. I think we hold the Senate. I think the House is going to be a squeaker, but 1,000% more optimistic today than I was 3 weeks ago, based on Venezuela, oil prices going down, 5.4% GDP, the economy swinging our direction. And the Democrats basically are now back to defunding the police, which is their comfort level because that's therefore lawlessness and chaos. Todd, give me your prediction here. We have a shot.
Yeah. So look, I'm like you. I'd say on the realistic optimist side, I'm going to run with that for a moment here. With these GDP prints that we've seen, and with what happened in Iran and is now happening in Iran and what's happening in Venezuela, and I know people aren't that focused on the international side of things nearly as much as they are domestic. But if we see these jobs take off, as we've been talking about here and have every reason to believe could happen, and this international messaging continues down this line of potentially game-changing transformations in major regions around the world, that helps add confidence and a sense of inevitability to what's happening with the administration. So if all of these things keep moving in the direction that they're moving right now, I think there is a real chance. I think the Democrats are trying to fight back in Minnesota on what's going on right there, and they are on very weak and shaky ground because the underlying factor is, those guys are not going to back off. They're going to go in there and they are going to find what was going on with this $8-9 billion worth of fraud and abuse, and hopefully use this as a step to also reinvigorate what was going on with Doge. Because I think this is what happened to Elon. He was starting to dig and going down the paths that would have found some of these kinds of things in a different way, in a more top-down kind of way. And this is what you saw when the Molotov cocktails are getting thrown at the Tesla dealerships and that kind of thing. But I don't think they're going to back off this time because they've got the winning argument already in hand. So there's a lot of things that could go in the right direction. I'm cautiously optimistic here.
All right, me and Todd on the cautiously optimistic in the House side. The only thing that's going to derail us is a government shutdown. That's the only thing I see that's going to derail this thing. And the Democrats are going to want the government shut down because they've already saw that when they did it in the fall, their poll numbers went up, and they're going to blame the Republicans and blame Trump, and it stops the GDP growth and puts a monkey wrench in everything. So just sign whatever the hell they want, keep the government open, go from there. We'll figure it out later is my position. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys a foreign policy question. We got 2 minutes, so I'm going to give you a minute each. And I know that this is not necessarily your bailiwick, but you guys follow this stuff. So I'm going to start with Todd, then go to Elaine. Is Iran going to fall? Is their government going to fall? And when, Todd Sheets?
It shows every sign of something happening there. And I'm, again, less cautiously optimistic about that than I am the other, just because there are so many problems in the Middle East, and going in and trying to effectuate meaningful change with all of the hostile actors spread around the Middle East who have sustainable sources of funding with the oil reserves there. I'm much less optimistic about something's, meaningful happening there than I am in Latin America, for example. I hope so. I think it could be transformational and it could happen, but I'm not as optimistic as I am about what's going on in Latin America.
Elaine Parker.
I'm hopeful, but I agree with Todd. That's a difficult situation. But Latin America, yeah, I love what we're seeing. I love what's happening. Freedom, of course, is the way to go. But I'm just hopeful for Iran.
I share your both view exactly. I'm hopeful, but I'm doubtful. I don't think somehow, first of all, the Israelis can't touch it, because if they do, everybody will come to Iran, say, in the Middle East. So they can't touch it. They're handcuffed. I'm not for us getting involved in there in any possible way. If the Iranian citizen has already proved they know how to do a coup, let them do it. Will it happen? I'm not as optimistic as I am on the economy. Cuba, though, I'm with Elaine on this one. I think it falls because Todd, they're not going to get any money. I mean, all the money they were getting from Venezuela, that's gone. I mean, it's not even like, well, it's half, it's zero. And it was a huge part of how they're not going to have gas there. I mean, people are going to be back to riding bicycles. I don't see how they stay in power, Todd.
Yeah, look, I agree. I mean, they were teetering on the brink before the Venezuelan thing happened. And now the Venezuelan thing has happened. It's cut off the Venezuelan oil money. Russia is not in a position to try and step in and replace that. And China now has the message that if you're going to come play around in Latin America, you're going to end up losing your shirt ultimately. So I think they've got the message. It's going to be very hard for them to do anything there. I think you're right. And clearly this is something Rubio wants to have happen.
Well, he's going to be, he's going to run Cuba. I mean, he'll be the most popular man in Havana and Miami in the history of the world if he's able to pull this off. So I think he's going to be able to do that. Elaine Parker, I love this panel with you guys. I have so much fun doing it. I actually look forward to it. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do, or maybe it's just fun for me, but you guys are great. Elaine Parker, you want to follow her? Elaine, where do you go?
You can go to go to our website at jobcreatorsnetwork.com, and you can follow me on X at Elaine_Parker. Also,
go to joinjcn.com, joinjcn.com. Your small business, you want to be a part of that. They're basically self-funded on their own. So if you can help them out and be a member like we are, it's a great investment for a small business because they fight up here for you every day. Todd, you're the easy guy to follow. I've taken Todd's lead. See, Todd, you're a visionary. In so many ways, you wrote the best book about 2008 crash, but Todd does a Substack. He doesn't charge for it. And I talked about it with Ann. I'm like, Todd doesn't charge for his Substack. She said, well, we shouldn't either because, we don't charge for anything. So except our advertising. Of course, we do that. I'm not shy about that. But I took a page out of your book, and we do a Substack now every day. We don't have a subscriber list. We might go to that like you later, but that's how we're building it up. So it's called the Todd Sheets plan. Not a grifter. Todd Sheets, not a grifter. You want to follow Todd, just go to Substack and put in Todd Sheets. Kind of like Coach Signetti. When he went to Indiana and they said, who are you? Who is this guy? And he said, I win. Google me. Todd wins. Google him. Todd, thanks for being with us. Elaine, thank you. You guys have a great day. I'll see you next week. You're on the John Fredericks Media Network. Truth and clarity, baby. We'll be right back.